What's going on, everybody? Ben here from Audion. I wanted to talk a little bit today as we're getting into kind of the summer conference season about on-site AV, right? Like conference centers, hotels specifically. We're doing a lot of destination events this summer. And so it's kind of taking us all over the place and we're seeing different rules at different venues and what it looks like to bring in an outside vendor. We won't get too deep into the pros and cons of that today because ultimately that's up to your organization to decide what's best for you. But I do want to talk about some of the things that are happening in the industry and just give you a couple of super quick tips on how to kind of manage those AV contracts and what happens when you bring an outside AV vendor in-house. Almost all of our guys on staff at some point or another have worked for an AV company in-house. And then obviously we've been doing this for 2 decades, coming in-house to different facilities all over the country. And it's interesting to see really post-COVID how that landscape has changed and how you may see some penalties for doing that. And it may be a little bit more difficult. But today, let's just talk about some facts about doing this and some tips that can really help you navigate this a little bit easier. So I want to break into 2 pieces: prior negotiations, right? So like if you haven't booked the venue yet, and then I want to talk about once you're kind of locked in. So if you had locked in and didn't negotiate this ahead of time, what you should do. So let's start with the prior negotiations first. So the thing that I want to tell you first and foremost is that anytime you go to a venue, you're looking at the venue and you're deciding, hey, does this work for our members' needs? Does this work for our organization's needs? Is this right for our event? Leave open the opportunity to work with the in-house AV. Let them know, hey, we've got to bid this out, but we're happy to accept your bid. We'll get it all scoped out and we'll send that over. If you lay that groundwork early on, it really kind of sets the tone for like, okay, this is full transparency. Everybody's above board. I know that I've got to be competitive here. And who knows, you may get a great bid. They may be a great in-house provider and it can be a fantastic event. But it also leaves you the opportunity to go bid that out, hopefully with minimal penalties if you do so. The second thing is, if you know you're going to bring in an outside vendor, right? You know that you're not going to use the hotel AV or the in-house AV on a given property. Make sure to negotiate any liaison fees or penalties up front, right? So talk about those, be honest, say, hey, look, we're bringing in our team to do this. We know this from the get-go. Talk to me about what that means here on the property and what I need to look for. If you do assess a liaison fee, what is that liaison available? What are they going to do for us? And typically that just means they'll be there to monitor load in and load out. And if you need anything, they can help. But if you can set that relationship up front too, then if your on-site team ever does get in a pinch or need something, hopefully you've got a good relationship and you won't see any surprise fees. And that's kind of the most important thing here is really what we're talking about. The last thing I would say in prior negotiations, and this is especially true if you've already bid this out or you're bringing in your team that you travel with or the team that you use bring that team on the walkthrough with you. So don't wait until the last minute to loop them in. Have them come on the walkthrough, have them meet all the sales managers, right? Because if we can establish a relationship early on with the on-site sales managers, whether it's the event manager or the AV manager, chances are we can strike up a rapport, have a good relationship with them. And it just makes everything so much smoother when there's not that kind of conflict back and forth between like, oh, they're bringing in these outside guys and the outside guys are like, oh man, the in-house guys are terrible. Like, that's why we're here. We all are really just trying to make this the best event possible for you. So if that relationship is established early on, it is really a benefit to you. So that's the most important thing. We want your event to be great, as does the hotel or the venue or whatever else. So if we can all work together to make that happen, let's not wait till the last minute to meet each other or have any surprises. Now, what happens if you're already locked in, right? Like, let's say you signed a contract or your predecessor signed a contract or your boss signed a contract or somebody else signed the contract and you didn't have anything to do with it. And now the venue is like, well, you have to use our in-house providers. Do you have some options? Sure. I think one of the first lines of defenses is, especially if you already have somebody, let them know that you're contractually obligated to that company. Say, hey, we put this out to bid. We've already selected a vendor. We are contractually obligated to that vendor. They're coming in with us. They do multiple events for us, or maybe they just do this one event, but let them know that. Maybe it's because you've got streaming. Maybe it's because like you've got some member specific or confidential info or some special programming, but find some rationale to let them know why you're bringing in this outside AV company. The other thing I'd say, and this is probably the easiest to kind of bridge those relationships is offer them some work. Let them know, like, hey, we would love to give you the pipe and drape. We would love to give you the screens. We need power and internet, but we have a closed ecosystem for our projections and our cameras and everything else, whether you're doing streaming or not. And we'll bring all of that infrastructure, but we do need some support from you. And a lot of times that's the best of both worlds, because if they can give you a good deal, say, hey, can you match what our outside guys were going to do it for? We'd love to keep it with you. Everybody gets a little bit of the business and they all work together, and it can be a really harmonious thing for everyone. If all that fails, and if you're getting pinged with really hard penalties, I don't want to get into some of the horror stories that I have, but I can tell you sometimes that were pretty rough when we came in and this wasn't negotiated ahead of time. And it led to, I don't want to say conflict. I don't want to use that word again, but it definitely led to making things a little bit more difficult. Go directly to the GM or the event manager or the sales manager that you've been working with. Let them know how it impacts your event. Let them know what this means to the success of this specific event by not allowing you to bring in the people that you need to bring in to do it, and by being penalized for that, whether it's financially or with odd load-in times or really strict regulations, that the success of your event hinges on being able to do this. And a lot of times they're going to allow you to negotiate those things, whether it's the fees or just the idea of bringing somebody else in general. So I hate to have to go over people's head. Nobody wants to have to do that, right? Especially if you didn't negotiate it up front. But really, that's going to be your last line of defense. And just be transparent with them and be honest and let them know what that means for your event. And I think if you can take some of these tips, especially the prior negotiations, it's such an important thing. But we know that you guys are all booking these events out 2 and 3 years in advance. Sometimes it's a little difficult to do that. So if you're locked in, take those tips, work with them. Remember, at the end of the day, we are all just people doing a job. And that's ultimately what this is. And go to them just like another person and say, hey, this is what we're trying to do. Here's what we hope to accomplish with this. We want to work with you on this. How can we find a path forward? And if you take that approach rather than just getting angry, or I've seen people get attorneys involved or their legal counsel or whatever, and it just leads to this whole big mess, I think you can have a much better event and a much better outcome. So hopefully you got something out of that. If you have any questions, you can always email me, benjamin@audionllc.com, or hit us up at audionllc.com in the contact link there, and let us know, how things are going for you out there, what we can help with, how we can work with your existing in-house teams, or where you're going next. All right. We'll see you later.